Alright, Yu-Gi-Oh players, we have the final cards coming out in Suda, which is actually looking to be a pretty good set. And there were some other announcements of other cards that I had not covered yet, so I want to cover them all together in this one video. So starting right off, this is also, again, coming out in Suda, Supreme Darkness, which is, again, going to be a pretty decent set so far. So right now we are looking at Liberator Etho, which is a level 8 Dark Reptile Special Summon Effect monster with 4,000 attack and 0 defense, so some sort of boss monster, I'm guessing. So it says it can't be normal summoner set, must be special summon from your hand or graveyard by paying half your life points, while your opponent has a monster card on their field or in their graveyard with an effect that can activate in the hand and or monster zone, but activates in response to the activation of a card or effect. To do so, you can only special summon Liberator Etho once per turn this way. So really interesting condition where like your opponent has to have a monster in the field or in the graveyard, so it's basically like a hand trap, or I guess in the monster zone, which is, this is like so easy. Anything that activates in the monster zone, like, okay, so that's a pretty easy condition. I'm wondering if you could just like give your opponent some certain card that would like have some sort of effect, because it just says that can activate in the hand or monster zone. So that means any effect monster, right? Like, unless the monster's effect is like something that doesn't activate in that zone, like it only gets its effect in a certain area. But for the most part, this is a very easy condition to summon. It's just like a 4,000 right there. Anyway, so it's special summon cannot be negated, and this card in the monster zone cannot be used for material for a fusion, synchro, seize, or link summon. Also, it's unaffected by monster effects activated on your opponent's field during your turn only. So there is a little bit of a downside with this. If it was just immune to everything, it was like 4,000, I would slap a lot of these into my deck, considering it cannot be negated, and then it would be, I guess, immune during your turn. It still is actually pretty decent though. Could be kind of a good comeback sort of a card. So it says you can only special summon once per turn this way. So you can't just like spam out 3 of them and be like, all right, GG. But it still has some potential. What do you guys think of this card? Is there any good ways to actually use this in the metagame? Next up, we got the Molneus over here, which is a beast effect. Again, this is all coming out in Suda. And then we have level 4, 100 attack, 600 defense, and it says you can only activate one other Molneus monster effect the turn you activate this effect. So these are kind of like the hand traps, right? That have some crazy effects. So if you control no cards, as a quick effect, you discard this card and apply this effect. Each time your opponent special summons a monster from the graveyard and or banishment, immediately draw 1 card. So for the side deck, yeah, there are some archetypes that really revolve around the graveyard. And so, yeah, this is a pretty dang good card. And then once per turn during this end phase, if the number of cards in your hand is more than the number of cards your opponent controls plus 6, you must randomly shuffle cards from your hand into the deck. And in your hand equals the number of your opponent's controls plus 6. So there's a pretty big downside, but like it's plus 6. So you can still have a pretty good, setup, because you can just get rid of whatever you don't need. Instead of it like getting discarded, going to the graveyard, I guess you kind of lose out on that. But that is a pretty decent card. Again, phenomenal side deck card, but the real question is, do you guys think everyone's going to main deck triple of these? Anyways, next up we have some new Trick or Treat. Again, these are cards coming out in Suda. Why does it say smell my feet? Is that what the card's text says? Oh, okay. Well, I think the first one we're looking at is the Fiend Monster. Is this all this thing does? It just says smell my feet. Okay, so is it like just a promo card or something? It looks like it has an effect. There's no way it just says smell my feet. Maybe we'll scroll down and it'll tell us later. Anyways, starting off, we have Hollow, the Great Spirit of Tricks. So it's level 4, 0/0. It says you can only use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. First part is if it's normal or special, you get to make your opponent choose one of these effects for you to apply. You must control this face-up card to activate and to resolve this effect. So it either gains 800 attack for each Fiend Monster in your graveyard, and then the other part of the effect is inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each Fiend Monster in your graveyard. Okay, and then the second part is if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you decide one monster opponent controls to the graveyard. Then we have Wean the Great Spirit of Treats over here. So it's going to be a level 4. Looks like it's a light 0/0. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. So the first part is if it's normal or special, you can make your opponent choose one of these effects for you to apply, and you must control this face-up card to activate this effect. So it gains 800 attack for each zombie monster in your graveyard, or you get to inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each zombie monster in your graveyard. I don't know why they're making it so your opponent can choose it. So maybe I'm guessing you summon it to their field and then you get to decide in a sense that way. But then you would be burning yourself, which I don't know. That just seems counterproductive. I really don't understand. Like, your opponent's always going to give you whatever in whatever situation is the worst, right? You can make your opponent choose one of these effects for you to apply. Yeah, I generally don't even understand. It's just straight up troll. Oh, is this the Trick or Treat card? So it's a normal spell card that says add a Hollow the Great Spirit of Tricks or Wean the Great Spirit of Treats from your deck or graveyard. This archetype literally just seems like reverse troll. Like, it's like trolling yourself. I don't even know why they made it. Next up, though, we have a Delta of Temptation coming out in Suda as well, which is a field spell card that says you can only activate one card with this card's name per turn, and you can only use the second and third effects of this card's name once per turn. So the first part is, when this card resolves, send one level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. And then, second part is, if a zombie monster on the field, you can disperse one Delta token, zombie, dark, level 5, 0/0. If a monster is added from the graveyard to the hand while this card is in your graveyard, you could add this card to your hand. So it's able to recycle itself, and you can keep on starting to dump things. Okay, pretty good, I guess, for zombies. Next up, another card in Suda is going to be a Link monster called the Clockwork Knight. Looks like it's going to be a Link 1, Earth Machine, 500 attack, Link arrows are on the left. Its materials are one non-link machine monster with 1,000 or less original attack. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. So the first part is, if it's link summon, you get to send one face-up continuous spell you control to the graveyard to add a Clockwork Knight from your deck to your hand. Second part says you can target one machine monster with 1,000 or less attack in your graveyard, tribute one other machine, and if you do, special summon the targeted monster in defense position. And then we got another link monster called a Bow, a Q, the Lightless Shadow, which is a Link 4 Dark Fiend effect, 2,800 attacks, so another boss monster looks like. So its arrows are in the left, bottom left, right, and bottom right. So pretty much one of the best zones, except for down. Anyways, it requires 2 monsters, including a Fiend monster. It says you can only use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. So the first part is, during the main phase, as a quick effect, you get to discard one card to activate one of these effects. So you get to destroy a card on the field. That's pretty solid, considering it's a quick effect. The other part is, you can banish this card until the end phase, and if you do, special one light or dark monster from your graveyard. Pretty cool stuff. And then the second part is, during your standby phase, you can draw cards equal to the number of different types among the monsters in your graveyard. Then place the same number of cards from your hand on the bottom of the deck in any order. Wow. That has some potential. I mean, just cycling through cards, maybe going through some hand traps. But I really like this effect of, like, you can basically dodge certain things, and then you also get to grab something else. Now, obviously, this monster does not, like, lose out on any material, because it's not like an Exceed monster. You don't really lose out on too much. I mean, yeah, it goes away, and stats aren't insane for a Link 4, but, yeah, it's a pretty solid card overall. I think people will be interested in running this. All right. Now, the remaining 5 cards. So the Great Crimson Demonic Fighter is going to be level 8 Warrior, special summon effect monster, 21 attack, 18 defense. Cannot be special summoned or set. Must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by shuffling up to 3 non-effect monsters from your graveyard into the deck/extra deck. You can also you can only special summon Great Knight of the Red Lotus once per way this turn. First part is, it gains 800 attack for each normal monster shuffled into the deck for its special summon. Okay, so basically you could maximum boost it up by 24, which makes it 4,500 attack at the highest potential. Second part is, once per turn, target a monster on the field and one non-effect monster in your graveyard. Destroy the first target. If you do, special summon the second. Okay, so some vanilla support. Oh, this is like a really old card. It's called Goddess of Duality over here, and well, she's probably going to be getting changed in the artwork in TCG. But anyways, level 3 Light Fairy effect, 950 and 700. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. The first part is, if it's normal or special, you get to add one monster from your deck to your hand with a coin tossing effect, except for Goddess Duality. Oh, we could use this with the brand new Arcana Force cards that they announced, which we should check out. And then second part is, during your main phase, you can toss a coin and call it. If you call it right, the attack of all face-up monsters you currently control become doubled until the end of this turn. If you call it wrong, send as many monsters you control as possible to the graveyard. If you do, draw one. Not even one card for each, just one, bro. That's all you get. Okay, next up we got the Lightstorm Dragon. This is new boss, level 9 Dragon Synchro, 27 attack, 3,000 defense, and it's a generic. So 1 tuner and 1 non, and then it says you can only use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. The first part of the effect is, if this card is special summoned, you get to target spells and traps on the field up to the number of normal monsters in your graveyard plus 1. Destroy them. Okay. I wish it was like spell, traps, and monsters, because like a lot of stuff may not like linger around in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Usually it's like whatever skill or whatever like continuous thing that you activate is just like search out a card, so you don't really even go that plus. But anyways, if this card is destroyed by battle of a card effect, you get to target one spell or trap in your graveyard, set it, but it can't be activated unless you control a normal monster. I mean, the fact that I guess you get to like you can target a Call of the Haunted and then reset it and have a normal monster special summon it again, and then you can target spells and traps up to the number of normal monsters, which obviously one will probably linger. Whatever. I just don't see it being like that insane. But next up we have Yugioh, which is a normal spell card that says you can only use the first and second effects of this card's name per turn and only once in turn. So target a normal monster in either graveyard, destroy a water monster in its owner's controls, and if you do spell summon that target to the player's field in defense position. Second part is if this card is in your graveyard except for the turn it was sent there, you can banish it, then target a water monster in either graveyard, destroy one monster its owner controls, and if you do special summon that target to that player's field in defense. So it has some potential over there. Next up we have Double Wild, which is a quick play spell card. What was it? What was it like that? Kind of force. The Joker, Queen's Knight is I think is that what the name of the archetype is. But anyways, you can only activate, it's called Double Wild. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. Target a 5 or lower monster you control, and you can't spell summon for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, except for monsters with the same original type as that target. Also, you get to add one level 10 monster with that original type from your deck to your hand. Then you can discard one card. If you do, spell summon one monster with that type from your hand in defense position. Alright, so those are final cards of Pseudo. I'm not gonna lie, I actually expected them to come out with stuff that was way better. I mean, this one maybe has some effect, but the final cards, a little bit of a disappointment, at least in my personal opinion. You guys let me know if I'm wrong on this. Like, again, the trick or treat was like out of nowhere. But anyways, thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, subscribe, turn the bell so you don't miss out when we cover more brand new Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.